Good afternoon, everyone. Mike here from Safeguard Solutions. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Wired for Wellness. I am very excited today to announce our special guest, Nate Johnson from New Light EMF. He is the owner and founder of the company. Good afternoon, Nate.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, buddy. It's my pleasure. I am very excited for this one today. And Nate, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about New Light EMF and your background and history?
Sure, absolutely. No, thanks. Thanks again for having me on. I'm love to tell my story to anybody who's interested. So hopefully, reaches your audience out here. But yeah. Anyways, I'm never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you about EMFs. Especially 6 or 7 years ago. So I
Yeah,
haven't been in this field a super long time as far as a career goes, but I dove in headfirst, really into the deep end of the pool with everything who I am, basically.
that's
So
yeah, yeah,
I grew up as a computer geek. I thought I was gonna be an electrical engineer when I was younger, and after I started to get fascinated with computers, but I was never a huge fan of math. But it was, going through school, it was like I didn't see the real life application of the math, so it was always boring to me. And
yeah.
then there was a whole lot of stuff that happened in between without my whole life story. Made some bad decisions, but grew from those two at the same time. And I'm here today. I was went into the trucking industry years ago, and that was more or less a job that I could get from a friend of a friend, and then I just kind of went from there with my
Yeah, yeah.
transportation industry experience. But it was there when I was working at a cold storage in Minnesota, and where I'm located. A cold storage stored a bunch of junk food. It was all food. I joke with my customers now of I wouldn't recommend eating it. It was convenience store foods.
Yeah.
A lot of it was one of our biggest customers were so gas station sandwiches. Think of
Yeah.
those things. The list of ingredients is this long.
Yeah.
All these chemical
Yeah.
names, and but at that position, at that workplace, I got basically promoted or offered a different position. The inventory manager position became available. I applied for it. I got it. And with that position, I was working at a different desk all of a sudden. I never felt like great, but I didn't feel horrible at the place either. I was tired a lot of times. I just thought, oh, it's fatigue. And like most Americans, I'd pound the coffee and energy drinks and whatever to stay wired or awake. And but I was tired every day. But all of a sudden, when I was at this new desk, I started getting really weird symptoms. I wasn't getting these. I worked at a different desk, different position before this, and it wasn't that far away, but clearly it was a completely different environmental setup.
Yep.
And I had a power strip right up against my feet.
Yeah.
And I didn't think at that point in my life that electricity could harm us at all. And so, the power strip was just sitting there. I might have kicked it a few inches away just so my feet weren't hitting it, but it
Yeah.
was like right next to my feet. Well,
Yep.
my shins started to burn. Like it felt like somebody was like almost kicking them, or it was just this painful burning sensation, I describe it as. And then I would get this pressure in my head. It felt like somebody was like blowing a balloon up in my head, and just an immense pressure inside my head to where it felt like my eyes were being pushed out of their sockets.
Yeah.
And um, I was tired every day. I was fatigued. I had a very hard time concentrating. And so I was getting all these symptoms. And, just for a little framework, I'm 38 years old right now. This story is, about 6 years old. So I was in my early 30s at the time. I'm
Yep.
going to the chiropractor. I'm eating an organic diet. I'm working out. I'm like trying really hard to take care of myself. And
Yeah.
so I thought, why is my health falling apart, in my early 30s here, and I can't even concentrate
I think
essentially.
that's it exactly. Yeah. When you don't expect to be going through health issues at a younger age, right? And I understand where you're going from.
Exactly. And so the rest of the story, I mean, I'm going to call it divine guidance. What motivated me to type in dirty electricity into a search engine? That's pretty weird. So I did that, and one of the first pages that popped up, I think it was Lloyd Burrell or something, Electric Sense. He's a popular EMF blogger. Is very electrically sensitive. I agree with most of what he says, but I don't agree with everything he says. But anyways, that website was really good. It was the right time and place for that, and I read it with an open mind, of course. And they talk about burning in extremities and legs and arms, as one symptom, and then it talked about pressure in the head, especially behind the eyes. I'm like,
Yeah.
these are really specific symptoms that I have a big list of, like, you know, dialed right in. So that was the life changing moment where it was like, okay, I want to look into this. So then I bought the book called Dirty Electricity and the Electrification of America, or something of that nature. It's Dirty Electricity by Dr. Samuel Milham,
Yeah.
and it was almost free. It was like $1.50 on Amazon, and so I thought, what do I have to lose? Just time and $1.50. They're almost giving me the book. I read the book. It was extremely captivating. It's super easy to read. It's like 120 pages or something. I read the book almost in a day or two. I just gobbled it up, and I'm like, this is super fascinating. So it talked about a filter and a meter in there. I went and bought that. That was my first EMF meter. Boy, that's a rabbit hole you can go down here. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was my first EMF meter, and from that point, I plugged it in at my desk. It was the Stetzer meter, if anybody's wondering, and that meter just shows a numerical display. So between 1,999 for the audience if they're not familiar with that meter. And the higher the number, the worse it is. It's a
Yeah.
very simplistic meter and concept. And when I plugged it in, it wasn't giving me a number. Okay, what's that mean? Well, it means it's at the maximum value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was plugging in every outlet around my desk was maxed out on the Stetzer meter. And I'm like, okay, I probably have a pretty big
Yeah.
problem with this
Issue.
here. This
Yeah.
is my first EMF assessment, so to say, of my
Yeah.
own workplace. And I bought Greenwave filters. I plugged in four of those around the desk, and I just moved all the cords away from me as far as I could while still
Yeah.
being able to work.
Yeah.
And with those two minor changes, buying four Greenwave filters and moving cords, it was completely life changing. So the pressure in my head went away probably 99%. I would get headaches sometimes occasionally, but they were very minor, and it was a different type of headache. So it probably wasn't related to the dirty electricity, is my hypothesis. And then I had more energy, I had more focus. I felt like a new man, so to say. And it was just completely mind boggling that I'm like, whoa, there's really something to this. And that was, again, the life changing moment was, oh my gosh, the electricity that we've grown up with in our modern world could actually harm us. And never
Yeah.
to that point did I think that before I started searching online and read the Dirty Electricity book. And so then I'm like, wow, if this affects me this much, I'm sure it's affecting other people, but selfishly, I'm just concerned about myself at this moment in time,
Yeah.
getting myself feeling better. And I was so happy that had a positive outcome at my workplace. And some people don't feel better with those filters, so it's a
Yeah.
complicated thing. And maybe we could get into that discussion a little bit later
I
if
would
you
love
want.
that. I would love that
Um,
because I think
but
that
yeah.
that area of EMF is something that there's just not enough knowledge in, and um, like I think we do a pretty good job of explaining it to clients. But I mean, let's also face it too that I mean, and that's where I'm hoping that we can talk about a lot of the benefits of these filters and the challenges that we have working with them because they're not cheap. They're pretty expensive for clients, right? And that's why, like, I mean, some clients will be like, okay, well, let's just put, one in my bedroom or one in my living room. And, I mean, it does help a little bit, but Nate, you tell me, um, with the filters, I mean, the more you put throughout the house, is it better, right? Um, and I know you go real deep into this with Chuck, and it's there's no easy way, but you tell me because I really honestly appreciate you being on the show today to discuss